Legacy Paradoxical Outcome is getting a big upgrade today with 2 cards from Aetherdrift, Repurposing Bay, and then Stock Up. Let's go check it out. This video is proudly sponsored by Card Market. Before we get into today's deck list, I would like to take a moment and thank Velgrim for today's donation deck. If you're interested in seeing your favorite combo deck here at the Epic Storm, the best way to do it is theepicstorm.com/donation decks, and that's how you see your favorite combo. In fact, that's what Velgrim did. Velgrim wanted to see Repurposing Bay, a brand new card from Aetherdrift. For 2 and a blue, you get an artifact with pay 2 mana, tap it, sacrifice another artifact, and then you search your library for an artifact with a mana value of that +1, put it onto the battlefield, and you can only activate that as a sorcery. So that is a new exciting card, and what makes it so good? When you look at other Paradoxical Outcome decks in Legacy, they often play things like Transmute Artifact. But you're a deck with a bunch of colorless mana, like Ancient Tomb, City of Traders, Grim Monolith, Basalt Monolith, and things like that. Having an additional 2 blue mana can sometimes be a choke point. Well, with Repurposing Bay, you're able to accelerate into powerful artifacts like the One Ring more quickly because you can search out things like Manifold Key, or you can use Manifold Key to untap your Repurposing Bay and then go get the One Ring. It can also find Aetherflux Reservoir. That's pretty interesting. So you have a tutor for your win condition or draw engine with the One Ring. And you can find acceleration like Grim Monolith or your keys like Voltaic Key or Manifold Key. I think that makes this card very interesting. On top of that, you're still a Paradoxical Outcome deck, so you can search out things like Grim Monolith to return with your Paradoxical Outcome, or you could even bounce the Repurposing Bay itself and then reuse it later. So there's a lot of things to like about Repurposing Bay. On top of that, we have Stock Up, a card that I featured a few times here at the Epic Storm so far. For 2 and a blue, you get a sorcery. You look at the top 5 cards of your library, put 2 of those cards to your hand, and then the rest on the bottom in any order. So that card has just been phenomenal. In fact, I recorded a 5.0 in Legacy that you could check out in the card above with that card in an Artist Talent shell. Today we're playing it in a mono blue Paradoxical Outcome shell, and I'm pretty excited because I think that this deck has a lot of potential. I didn't talk about yet was Paradox Engine, another target for your Repurposing Bay. That is how you make enough mana to cast your Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, because you'll untap your Grim Monoliths a bunch of times that you searched out with the Repurposing Bay every time you cast a spell. So getting to 15 mana is pretty easy. Speaking of expensive cards, we have Kozilek's Command, a card that finds you your consistency pieces, but also digs for your win conditions and does a whole slew of other things like answering Collector Oof. So I think that this deck has a lot of potential, and one nice feature of the deck, it has main deck Force of Will. There's a lot of fast combo decks in Legacy right now, and having Force of Will is a feature. And having Repurposing Bay be an artifact for Mox Opal and a blue card is quite good, because these decks have always struggled for blue count. Now you can naturally, very easily fit 20 blue cards into the main deck. That's why we have Force of Negation in the sideboard, Leyline of the Void for those pesky graveyard decks, 2 more copies of Kozilek's Command for Collector Oof, 4 Defense Grid for the blue decks, and then a Helm of Obedience, which is perfect thanks to Repurposing Bay. Because now when you have a Leyline of the Void on the table, all you want to do is play Repurposing Bay and put the Helm of Obedience on the battlefield, which makes it another great reason to play that card. That is my deck tech today. Thank you, Velgrim, for the donation deck. Your brew is certainly awesome in my opinion, and hopefully we do well with it today. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I would like to see everyone in match number 1. I'll see you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Holy smokes, what a first hand to open. We're obviously going to keep this. This feels like a vintage hand right now. We have Ancient Tomb into Grim Monolith, into Mox Opal, into Paradoxical Outcome with Force of Will backup. That is what I'm here for. This is so insane. Alright, our opponent has a turn 1 Surveil land, gets rid of Orcish Bowmasters. Okay. We'll draw another Force of Will. So let's play the Grim Monolith. That resolves. I'll now play another Grim Monolith and Mox Opal. We'll tap for mana. Paradoxical Outcome for 3. Floating a colorless. Wow. Alright, we hit a Voltaic Key. We'll play the key, play the Mox Opal. And then next turn we have the One Ring with Force of Will backup. Double Force of Will backup. Now this is what I'm talking about. This feels disgusting. Wow, getting like 2019, 2020 vintage vibes right now. They use Marsh Flats for a basic swamp. Emperor of Bones, you've got it. They exile their own Orcish Bowmasters, sure. I think it's time to party. Let's play Grim Monolith. Like, they didn't daze me last turn, so I'm not going to play around it now. Like, I could have played out the Otawara, but I think I want to hold my land for now. And let's play the One Ring. Triggers, we gain protection from everything. We'll activate the ring, draw, Ancient Tomb. You know what? I think I'm going to play the Repurposing Bay here. I actually don't take damage off the Ancient Tomb thanks to the One Ring protection. Okay, we will pass the turn. And next turn I could sacrifice the One Ring to go grab the Paradox Engine. And then we could use Repurposing Bay off of Voltaic Key to untap, sacrifice. Yeah, I think we actually have a win. So I'll take 1 here. Activate the ring to draw 2. We're going to adapt the Emperor of Bones. So it's going to become an Orcish Bowmasters. That's fine for now. We draw another Paradoxical Outcome. That was actually pretty good. So that happens. I'll go to 10. I can use the Repurposing Bay to go grab Paradox Engine. So we'll sacrifice the ring. Grab Paradox Engine. I'll play my island. And now we will untap the Grim Monolith. Maybe I shouldn't have done it that way. We'll tap Grim Monolith, tap the Opal. I'm going to Paradoxical Outcome for 3. Alright, so everything will untap. And now I can tap everything again for mana. And I think I would like to make an extra blue here. And we'll channel the Otawara on the Bowmasters. And now we'll resolve Paradoxical Outcome. You might be saying, why not use Repurposing Bay? It's only used as a sorcery. So now I can play the Grim Monolith. This will untap the other Grim Monolith. And we drew the Aetherflux Reservoir, so this is going to be a cakewalk. And now we'll tap our Grim Monoliths. Let's play the Aetherflux Reservoir. We'll untap everything again. Tap for a bunch more mana. We'll play the One Ring. This is how we party. Untap. The One Ring will trigger. We'll make some more mana. Play a Grim Monolith. Auto yield to the gain life trigger there. I'm at 19 now. Oh, I should have drawn a card off the One Ring. That's my bad. We'll do it now. And yeah, I mean, at this point, we just need to keep casting spells. So I'll play a Mox Opal. Yeah, I mean, I should be drawing more cards than I am because that one draw trigger sets me back multiple cards for the rest of this turn. But, I mean, we were always going to win this game once I got going. We'll play a key. And now you can see how easy it is to win with Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn. Like, we have 27 mana floating right now, and we could make hundreds. That is not the bottleneck. We'll draw 3. Okay. I don't know what I accidentally clicked there. Untap a Grim Monolith. Tap it again. We'll play another Mox Opal. Gain some more life off of the Aetherflux Reservoir. I'm at 40. Legend roll. We'll draw 4. Alright, I have enough mana here where I don't need to make any more. I'm just trying to speed this up. So I'm at 49. Play another key. I'm at 59. And now we'll shoot the opponent with the Aetherflux Reservoir. Boom! Take that. Alright, so we win game number 1. I believe our opponent is playing Reanimator, so I'm going to bring in the the Leyline of the Void plus Helm of Obedience combo. Alright, so we're facing a deck with Orcish Bowmaster, so I think I'm going to cut the Paradoxical Outcomes Although that means I have less blue cards for Force of Will, so I'm not as convinced I want to do that, but it's just a thought. I think I like Kozilek's Command, so we'll bring that in. Another option is like, what if I just board out the forces and I bring in the defense grids? Because then I'm allowed to board out the paradoxical outcomes. We'll shave one manifold key, cut the second copy of Basalt Monolith, and we have 2 win conditions in my deck now, so I'm actually going to cut the Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. Because we have the Reservoir and we have Helm. I mean, this seems pretty good to me. So it's turn 1 Ancient Tomb into Defense Grid, and then you're 1 artifact short of turn 2... Oh no, my bad. Wait, I accidentally hit Mulligan. No! Oh, I thought I hit keep. My bad. I'm sorry, Valgrim. Ah, that was brutal. We will go to 5. I suppose we keep this. Get rid of the 2 blue cards. That's my bad. Basic Swamp. We draw Island. I'm just trying to talk out loud here. If I play out the Grim Monolith first, am I rewarded at all? I think the answer is no. So I think I'm just going to jam City of Traders into Defense Grid. Whoops, I accidentally muted for a moment. Sorry about that. I went City of Traders Defense Grid, and then I could have played out the Mox Opal, but I didn't want to. And I expected them to play Entomb in response to my defense grid, and they didn't. So that was a pleasant thing to see. I'll play the basic island. Our City of Traders will go away. And now I'll play the One Ring, play Mox Opal, pass the turn. I can use Kozilek's Command next turn to get rid of the Orcish Bowmasters. On their end step, I'll draw with the One Ring. I basically don't want to make their Orc army any bigger than I need to. And they didn't attack. I'll allow it. Yep. They're fetching with Polluted Delta for a 3rd swamp. Barrogoyf. Sure. We'll activate the One Ring. Their Orc will get a little bit bigger. Okay. And now we'll go to my turn. Draw. We drew Reservoir. So I can play Key and then untap Grim Monolith. And then I can play Command, but I can only command for 1. So I actually need another mana to answer the Orcish Bowmasters here. So I'm going to activate the ring, and I did not draw that mana. Okay, that's not great for me. I'll play Manifold Key. I mean, are they mono black? They might be mono black. I'm going to pass the turn. I'm at 16. Playing Tier. Okay, so at the beginning of your end step, put a counter on this and scry 2. Target opponent may have you draw a card. If they don't, mill X, and I would lose X. I don't think I care if they draw cards. So now they swing. The Barrogoyf will trigger once it deals damage. I go to 10. They mill over... Yeah, you can draw cards. I don't care. So the question is, do I want to untap the ring and draw? Or do I want the mana from Grim Monolith? I think I would like to draw off the One Ring. So I will draw off the One Ring. So the Orc will deal me 3. I'll go to 7. My upkeep, I'm going to take 3. Draw. Alright, well, now it's time to do something. No lands in there. I think I'm dead. I was expecting to draw more mana. Or, like, more keys, and I didn't. So I guess what I can do is I can draw off the ring. No, it would actually kill me. So I could play the Aetherflux Reservoir, play Mox Opal, and then draw off the ring. But I don't think I'm going to be able to play the Repurposing Bay then, and I need Bay to hit the Paradox Engine. So I have to untap the Grim Monolith. So yeah, using the key to untap the One Ring on the end step might have cost me this game because I didn't draw into any mana. So instead of playing Aetherflux Reservoir, I could Kozilek's Command for 2 creatures and to kill the Orcish Bowmasters. So then I have 3 mana. That might be a better line than playing the Reservoir. So we will make 2 spawns and exile the Orcish Bowmasters. Target myself with the Kozilek's Command, exile the Orcish Bowmasters. Alright, so I can now draw 4 cards. And we need something good out of those 4. That was not bad. Okay, so let's play the City of Traders. I'm trying to think of my best path forward here. So I can play the Aetherflux Reservoir, and then play Mox Opal, and then play Key, but then I'm 1 mana short of activating. I could play Repurposing Bay off of Mox Opal, and then activate it immediately to go grab the Paradox Engine, but then I don't have any free spells to play. So if I play Key, I can untap the One Ring and hope that my next 5 cards are good enough. So if I untap the Grim Monolith right now, I have 5 mana. I can play Aetherflux Reservoir with 1 mana floating into Mox Opal, and then Defense Grid. I don't think that's good enough here either. I could Kozilek's Command for 0 with that line, but I don't think that's a winning line either. Sorry, I'm taking a really long time on this. I'm at 4. I'm dead to the ring, so I can't really pass because they have lethal on board. So I will untap the ring. I think we just have to draw. All right, draw 5. And it was a garbage 5. All right, I'm just going to concede and we can go to the next one. So I don't think that they're a blue deck. I think they just might have 1 blue Surveil land. I'm going to get rid of the Defense Grid. We'll bring back in Basalt Monolith. Maybe bring back in Paradoxical Outcome, at least as a 2-of. Let's try this out. I'm not sure if I played that last game correctly. In fact, I know I would have won if I untapped the Grim Monolith on the end step instead of the One Ring, but I wasn't expecting to be punished by not drawing into any mana. So this is Leyline into a slower hand. I think I'm going to keep this though, because this is an easy win as long as I find a Repurposing Bay. We'll play Sink Stupor as a land. Pass the turn. Wasteland. Well, that's mean. We'll play our island and pass. Drawing Leyline of the Void was not good. Bloodstained Mire. Uh-oh. No second mana here. They grab Undercity Sewers. And they surveil away a Barrowglyph. Looted Delta. For a basic swamp. Dothy Voidwalker. Sure. Both of us don't get graveyards. Another Grim Monolith. Deck, I really need some mana here. Come on. I would love an Ancient Tomb. They play Fell the Profane as a land and a Plantier. I don't let them draw, and then they mill. So I took 2 extra damage. Another stock up. We're just not drawing lands. That Wasteland is going to beat me. Get rid of Leyline of the Void. They cycle a Troll of Khazad-dûm. They have 5 cards in their hand. They swing. Come on, deck. There we go. Play Grim Monolith. We'll tap Grim Monolith. We'll play another one. We're going to exile the Dothy Voidwalker and then scry X draw. If they have an Orcish Bowmaster, Mindbreak Trap. What? Sure. You got me. Opposition Agent. Wow. Okay. We're in trouble. And now they have Thoughtseize. So they attack here for 6. I'm actually just dead on board. They get rid of Sink into Stupor. Or no, they got rid of Paradoxical Outcome, my bad. Sink into Stupor was already in my graveyard. So I guess this was just like black pox with Mindbreak Traps. Null Rod. I guess. Yeah, you wanted it more than I did. So we're going to let our opponent draw a card. I don't think there's any way for me to win this. Yikes. So if they didn't play the Null Rod, this actually was an insane draw. So the 2 things would have had to have happened. So last turn I was thinking about ways I could potentially win this. And I was like, okay, well, I guess if I drew exactly Mox Opal, I could Paradoxical Outcome for 4. And then they played Thoughtseize and Null Rod. So there's no way I was ever winning. But this was my theoretical out before things went south. So maybe I made a bad judgment call in game 2. And then game 3, we kind of just got ran over. So we ended up losing the first match. But game 1, we got to do the thing and it was really awesome. So maybe it's on me this round. I'm not really sure. My judgment call, I don't think was unreasonable. It's just it didn't work. And that's something that happens sometimes. So we're just going to keep our head up and focus on winning the second round. I will see you there. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. For round number 2, we're going to try to bounce back. I'm on the draw. I do not know what my opponent's playing, but we've opened up another hand that feels like a vintage hand. Lotus Petal. Grim Monolith. Okay. I would like a Mox Opal. We did not find Mox Opal. I'll play Grim Monolith. Tap the Grim Monolith for a key. And then I'll play the other Grim Monolith. Pass the turn. They play Iovugan and Thought-Knot-Seer. So they can choose between Stock Up or Paradoxical Outcome. I doubt they take Sink into Stupor, but I suppose that's a choice for them as well. They take the Stock Up. And a second Thought-Knot-Seer. Come on. You're killing me here, Smalls. Alright. We'll draw. Another key. Untap the Grim Monolith. Pass the turn. So my best draw is likely a copy of the One Ring. I mean, I would take a Repurposing Bay, but I'd much rather have a One Ring. And now they drew a Sowing Mycospawn, or the green mana. Very strong start. Also, if we had won the die roll, this would be a drastically different game. So they can exile my island and then grab Wasteland for the Ancient Tomb and cut me off of lands. So then I would have to play Sink into Stupor, which puts me dead on board. I guess I'm dead on board no matter what, with Sowing Mycospawn being a 3/3. Okay, well, they did not grab Wasteland. Instead, they grabbed Gaia's Cradle. And I did not draw another action spell, so we lose game number 1. That's a bummer. We had a pretty strong hand, too. Would I like to change anything for Eldrazi? I don't think so. I'm going to send it back. On the play for game number 2. So we have Force of Will, but we don't have anything to do. Like, this hand is just all mana. I'm going to mulligan. I think hands like that are really dangerous just because they don't do anything. This seems better to me. I think we're supposed to bottom the second copy of Ancient Tomb. And this is a turn 3, the One Ring. We'll play the Manifold Key, pass. It's worth noting that Repurposing Bay says sacrifice another artifact. You cannot sacrifice itself. They play Wasteland. That actually slows my draw down. So we'll play the Repurposing Bay. And I can't activate the Repurposing Bay because it costs 2. And I only have 1 off of the Mox Opal. Cavern of Souls. They name Eldrazi into Nullrod. Yep. Bummer. I'll play another Repurposing Bay and pass. So it's worth noting that our deck has 4 copies of Sink into Stupor and 2 Otawara. So we are not flat out dead. But I will need to draw one of those cards fairly quickly. A Grim Monolith. We'll play it. We're just in a waiting room. We have 6 outs that we need to draw into. They evoke a Null Drifter. I said the wrong word. Wasteland's my Ancient Tomb. They play City of Traders. And Thought-Knot-Seer. Yep. I'm at 12. I think we're dead. Pass the turn. Maybe I was supposed to play out the Aetherflux Reservoir. I don't know. But if I do that... No, if I play out the Aetherflux Reservoir and then actually draw one of the cards that I need, I can't cast it because I'd be at 2. Blaring Fleshraker. That might actually just kill me here. Chalice of the Void for 0. If they can just cast more spells from their hand, I'm dead. Another Chalice of the Void. Honestly, even the 2 is good enough because now I won't be able to play Otawara or Sink into Stupor. And Sowing Mycospawn. So this can exile my Ancient Tomb. And they did kick it. Yeah, I'm just dead. I'm going to concede. Velgrim, I am sorry, but this league is off to a slow start. We've opened up a few good hands, but our opponent's draws have just aligned well. And I made a slight judgment call that didn't go on our way. I really don't think that was a misplay, but round number 2, we got ran over. There's no other way to really say it here. So, bummer. We're 0-2, but I really do have faith in this deck, and Repurposing Bay is a card. I'm not just saying that for a video. I think that this has a lot of potential. So I'm going to try to win the next 3 matches, and let's see if I do. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and Mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. For round number 3, we're on the draw. I'm going to keep this. So I remember my opponent based on their username in like Casual Spelunker. I remember that they were playing like a Dark Depth strategy previously. So I think that our hand actually aligns quite well. We have a turn 2 copy of the One Ring, plus we have some keys to untap. There's a lot of potential here. My best draw by far would be Grim Monolith. Flooded Strand, well, that doesn't seem like a Dark Depths land. Paradoxical Outcome. We'll play a Voltaic Key and a Manifold Key. Pass the turn. They search out Undercity Sewers. Bad Person Alert deck, likely... Ooh, Lion's Eye Diamond. So they're on Doomsday. Alright, I thought that they were on Dimir Reanimator. I don't know why I'm oohing over Doomsday. I'm not feeling very confident against Doomsday with this hand, but Doomsday is a much sweeter deck. They play Duress. And the reason that I think it's Doomsday is that Doomsday is a deck that plays Flooded Strand. Your Ad Nauseam Tendrils style decks, which are more likely to play Duress, typically don't play Flooded Strand. They take my One Ring. Yep. And there's the Street Wraith to confirm that this is Doomsday. Land number 2. Another Paradoxical Outcome. I'll play Repurposing Bay. Pass the turn. Underground Sea on the end step off of Polluted Delta. 2 mana here for a Baleful Strix. This is not a card that I really like in Doomsday. I know that some people like playing the Doomsday lists that are a little more controlling. I'm just not personally a big fan. We'll play the City of Traders. And we're going to sacrifice the Voltaic Key. Go grab a Grim Monolith. Play Mox Opal. Tap the Grim Monolith for mana. And now we'll use the Manifold Key to untap the Grim Monolith. Let's make some more mana. Paradoxical Outcome for 4. It resolves. Let's go. Okay. Let's play Grim Monolith. Trying to think out the best line here. So if I play Aetherflux Reservoir floating 1, I can then play Mox Opal, play Key. I feel like that might be getting ahead of myself, though. So it would be Reservoir floating 1, play Opal. That would be Metalcraft. Play Key. Untap using the other 1. That means I'm 1 short of playing Paradoxical Outcome. So that's not even like a great line. We'll play Mox Opal. Play Manifold Key. Untap the Grim Monolith. So I have 3 mana. Let's play Repurposing Bay. And I think what I would like to do here is use the Repurposing Bay to go grab another Grim Monolith, sacrifice the key, and now we can Paradoxical Outcome floating 2. That resolved, and now we have Force of Will. We'll play Grim Monolith, tap that, play another Grim Monolith, and we drew another key. That was good. Tap that Grim Monolith. We'll play another Grim Monolith. Okay, so I have 6 mana. And then key is +1, so 7. I'm going to play the Aetherflux Reservoir, I think. It might be wrong, but I don't think there's a much better line here. Alright, Opal. Play the Manifold Key. Oh, if I Force of Willed my own key there, I think I had lethal. Whoops. I didn't see it until after I let it happen. Yeah, that was a mistake. Pass the turn. Maybe I'll get lucky and they'll try to cast a spell here. They fetch with Marsh Flats for a scrub land. Brainstorm. Oh, so I auto-yielded to the trigger, so I never actually had priority. Okay, so the Manifold Key, I would have had to hold priority on the Manifold Key because I auto-yielded to the Reservoir, and I wasn't holding priority, so I actually never had an opportunity there to force my own Manifold Key Like, I didn't click through okay. Like, I never got priority back. So I would have had to have seen the line to force of will the key before even casting it, and I didn't. But, I mean, it was a line that could have won the game. I'm just saying with how Magic Online works, I never had priority there to click okay. My opponent went deep in the tank for like 4 minutes, and now they've cast a Thoughtseize. I'm going to let Thoughtseize resolve. If they have Thoughtseize into a Doomsday win, you've got it, like you've earned it. But I'm just, like, me countering this Thoughtseize doesn't change that. It just puts me down a resource if I get another turn. They take the One Ring, and now they play Underground Sea and a Ponder. They attack for 1, ouch. End step, I'm going to use the key to untap a Grim Monolith. We draw another Grim Monolith. Let's play Grim Monolith. Storm 1. We'll play Island. City of Traders will go to the graveyard. We'll tap a Grim Monolith. Tap the Mox Opal. Play Repurposing Bay. This is Storm 2 for the Aetherflux Reservoir. Tap a Grim Monolith. We'll use Repurposing Bay to sacrifice one of the Grim Monoliths. Grab another Repurposing Bay. Sacrifice the other Repurposing Bay. And now I can grab a One Ring. Activate the One Ring. We draw a key. That's delightful here. Play the key. This will trigger the reservoir. I go up to 42. We'll untap the One Ring. Now we'll draw 2 cards. Let's untap the One Ring. We'll draw 3. That's a lot of lands. Holy moly. Alright, it looks like I have to pass the turn again. Discard basic island. So if they have a protected win this turn, I lose. They have 4 cards in their hand. I'll take 1 from the Baleful Strix. That is a Doomsday. I will attempt a Force of Will, exiling Force of Will. Their Doomsday has been countered. So they didn't have a protected win. I'll lose life off the One Ring. We'll draw. And there's all the cards I wanted last turn. Untap the One Ring. Draw again. Tap the Mox Opal. We'll play another copy of Mox Opal. And now we'll tap the new one for a blue. We'll play another copy of Mox Opal. And then we'll tap that for a blue. We'll play another copy of Mox Opal. Use the colorless I have floating to untap a Grim Monolith. We'll then tap that for a Basalt Monolith. I go up to 48. I made this game way longer than it needed to be. If I had just found the line to Force of Will my own card when it mattered. And now I'll play a Manifold Key. I'm at 59, and we can just shoot them. Okay, so we've taken game number 1. We want Force of Negation versus Doomsday. I don't believe... I mean, Kozilek's Command you could theoretically trick and deck them with, but I don't know if that's a good line to play towards. I think Kozilek's Command is the card that makes the least sense in the main deck in this matchup. And then you could probably cut like 1 Manifold Key and maybe a Basalt Monolith. We'll try this. Game number 2, we've opened up a fair hand. It's a little slow, but you do have Force of Will to make sure that the game doesn't end quickly. And then you have a One Ring to potentially get a little further with. I think I'm supposed to let this resolve, unfortunately. So they're on the play with a Duress. Doomsday is a deck that plays anywhere between like 2 and 4 copies of Days, and the more recent lists have been back on 4 Days. I don't know if our opponent is playing 4 Days, but I would really get punished by a Force of Will that was then countered. So they're probably going to take either the Force of Will itself or the One Ring, and I just have to hope that they make the wrong choice. And here they made the right choice. Another paradoxical outcome. Alright, we'll play the Sink into Stupor as a land. Pass the turn. Basic Island and 2 Baleful Strix. Yep. Stock up, that's certainly good. Let's play Stock Up. We'll take Force of Negation and a Manifold Key. I was really hoping for like a Grim Monolith off of that, because now I'm sort of punished for playing out the City of Traders. Otherwise, I would have had to wait a full turn in order to play the Stock Up. The one upside now is if they go for a Doomsday win, I do have double backup. After the Brainstorm resolves, our opponent plays Polluted Delta and then attacks. It looks like they're passing the turn. Another Sink into Stupor. I will play the Manifold Key. Pass. So if I played out my island, I would lose the City of Traders. So like that's just not a play I think I want to make here. And they're going to redraw the card off of the Brainstorm, so their hand has to be pretty good. And now our opponent is fetching with Polluted Delta and the Flooded Strand. 3 black mana for a Doomsday. I will attempt a Force of Will, exiling Paradoxical Outcome. I mean, they knew that I had the Force of Will. So if they're trying to come back next turn with the Doomsday, this play would make sense. So I could, in theory, Paradoxical Outcome here for 2. I'm just going to play the Opal and pass, I think. That line also makes it so that I lose to a theoretical Daze, because I would tap out to draw 2 cards, and then if they go for it and then I Force of Negation, I lose to Daze. And another Doomsday. We will Force of Negation, exiling Paradoxical Outcome. They have 4 cards remaining. And that Doomsday is countered. We draw Otawara. Okay, well, I think it's not getting any better for us here. Paradoxical Outcome for 2. The world's saddest inspiration. The Force of Negation, exiling Consider. Okay. They still have 3 cards in their hand. A 3rd Doomsday. I don't love that. Alright, like 3 minutes has gone by and our opponent's finally resolving Doomsday. I see 1 copy of Daze here, so there's probably 1 in their pile. They play Polluted Delta as their land for the turn. I believe I'm dead. I think that they built a Street Wraith pile because I don't see any, and then they're just going to cycle into Thassa's Oracle. We'll play the Otawara Soaring City. So in theory, I could play Sink into Stupor and return the Thassa's Oracle to their hand. The only way that this is relevant is if they don't have additional mana in order to play the Thassa's Oracle, and that just seems so unlikely. And they did, in fact, build a Street Wraith pile. And now the Edge of Autumn and the Oracle. So that's going to do it. We can go to game 3 now. I will resubmit the same configuration. We're on the play for game number 3. This seems fine. I'll keep. I really wish that the Aetherflux Reservoir was like a 1-ring, but it's still fine enough. Ancient Tomb, play Grim Monolith, and we'll pass. Basic Swamp into Thoughtseize. Yep. Their build has a lot of interaction. We saw Duress, Thoughtseize, Force of Negation, Drown in the Lock, Force of Will, obviously, Daze, Teferi Time Raveler, a whole bunch of stuff. And they're choosing to go after my blue mana here, hoping that I get stuck. We draw a Force of Negation. I'll play Grim Monolith. Pass the turn. I will say that this is one of those spots where having an Aetherflux Reservoir is worse than something that's a little more flexible. Like and I hate saying this, but like a Karn the Great Creator. We will play Stock Up. We'll take Force of Will and a Manifold Key. I was hoping for something a little bit better off of that. Like something to do. They fetch with Marsh Flats. Under City Sewers. Like Paradoxical Outcome, Repurposing Bay, the 1-ring, those all would have been decent finds. They play Brainstorm, Polluted Delta, City of Traders. Not a good draw. I was really hoping for something to do, or a blue card, and it was neither. I suppose we'll play Reservoir. Or even, like, I would have taken, if it wasn't a blue card, a blue land, so that way I could hardcast the Force of Negation. City of Traders was just like one of the worst possible draws in the deck. They're going to counter Aetherflux Reservoir. You got it. Sure. We'll play Manifold Key and untap Grim Monolith. Pass the turn. Tundra. Is this a prismatic ending? It is. Okay, so they eat my Manifold Key. They have 4 minutes left on their clock. They spent a lot of time just tanking this match. They fetch with Polluted Delta. Teferi Time Raveler. I have to counterspell this. We will Force of Will, exiling Force of Will. They have 2 cards left in their hand. We draw a copy of the 1-ring. Play the City of Traders. We'll play the 1-ring, floating a colorless. They cycle Edge of Autumn in response. The 1-ring will trigger. I'll draw. And let's untap a Grim Monolith. I didn't draw a blue card or a blue mana for the Force of Negation, so shields are down. If they slam a Doomsday here, I can't interact. Brainstorm. And it looks like they're passing the turn, so I'm getting away with one here. The 1-ring triggers. We draw Mox Opal, so I can hardcast Force of Negation now. Force of Will. Play a Manifold Key. The Force of Will, exiling a Brazen Borrower. Sure. Play a Basalt Monolith. Pass the turn. Land number 4. And a Ponder. So they did not have Doomsday in hand. They're digging for the Doomsday. And I already have the counterspell in hand for it. So we're both in a spot where it's interesting. So their fear is timing out with 2.5 minutes left on their clock, and my fear is losing to the One Ring. So I'll lose 2 life here, going down to 10. We'll activate the One Ring. Here we go. All right, so let's untap the Grim Monolith. Sorry, I'm just trying to count here. So we have 9 mana off of Monoliths, 10 with the Opal, 15. So next turn I can hardcast the Emrakul. Let's play City of Traders. It's going to get rid of the other one. And then I'll go to 8 and I'll play the One Ring. Keep the new one. Pass the turn. They play another Ponder. They shuffled with the Ponder. I lose no life. All right, we'll go to 6. That's 15 mana. Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn the hard way. Boom. And we got our first match win. How about that? All right, we are now 1-2 in this Legacy League. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. We are on the play for the 4th match. Okay, so we're a blue mana short from greatness. I think I'm going to try this out. Our best blue mana would be a Mox Opal, but I would also just take a land. Ancient Tomb, play Grim Monolith. Pass the turn. Polluted Delta, Mishra's Bauble. So maybe a Tempo deck. Another Repurposing Bay. We'll play Grim Monolith. Pass the turn. They use the Mishra's Bauble on themselves. Looks like they want the card. They didn't fetch on the end step. Volcanic Island. Manifold Key. Alright, we'll play Grim Monolith. I'm at 14. We'll play the Manifold Key. I would love a Mox Opal right now. Love, love, love. Force of Negation, exiling Days. Sure, you got it. Another copy of Mishra's Bauble. And they target me this time. They draw off the Bauble in the upkeep, and now we'll draw for turn. Hey, it's Mox Opal, the best draw on the deck. Let's go. So now we will cast Paradoxical Outcome, floating 3 mana. A draw 4 that makes mana? You'll love to see it. The Force of Will, exiling Days. I will Force of Will back, exiling Repurposing Bay. Paradoxical Outcome back on the stack. It looks like it resolves. We'll play Grim Monolith. Play another Grim Monolith. And another Grim Monolith. We'll play Mox Opal. There's probably a way to win here. So I could play Ring. And then... All right, how much mana do I have? That's the first question. So 2 plus 6 is 8. Mox Opal's 9. And then I have Opal, Opal, so 10, 11. If I could go the One Ring into Repurposing Bay, into the 1 copy of Paradox Engine, play an Opal, and then that will untap everything and we have stock up. So they've exiled 2 Dazes already to Force of Will and Force of Negation. If I could draw a land here, I wouldn't have to play around Daze, and I did draw a land. That was perfect. So now I'll tap the Mox Opal for a blue. We'll play Repurposing Bay, and then use the Repurposing Bay, sacrifice the One Ring, grab the Paradox Engine. We'll play Mox Opal. This will untap everything. We'll make a bunch of mana. And now Legend Rule. We'll keep the new Mox Opal. Use the Repurposing Bay. Sacrifice Grim Monolith. We'll grab another Repurposing Bay. And then we'll use that Repurposing Bay to sacrifice the other Repurposing Bay to grab a One Ring. And now we can draw off the One Ring. Play Manifold Key. This will untap everything. We'll float a blue. Draw 2 off of the One Ring. Tap the Grim Monolith. We'll just tap everything, actually. We'll use the Repurposing Bay. Sacrifice a Grim Monolith. Grab Repurposing Bay. Once again, we'll sacrifice the other Repurposing Bay. And now we can go grab our Aetherflux Reservoir. And I will untap the One Ring. Draw 3. We'll play a Mox Opal. And this game's over. Our opponent has lost. Okay. I'm at 25. Whoops, I forgot to float mana off Mox Opal. It's fine. We've already won. Draw 4. We'll play a key. Gain a bunch more life. Draw 5. It just doesn't matter anymore. I'm going to quit floating mana. I'd rather save my clock. Draw 6. Play another key. And now we can Aetherflux Reservoir. Boom, boom! Alright, we've taken game number 1. Nice main deck Force of Negation. I'm glad it did you a lot of good against combo. Haha. Alright, so we probably want Defense Grid versus the other blue deck. Also, Defense Grid is a card you can find off of Repurposing Bay. We like that. Shave a Basalt Monolith, a key. I don't think I want to board out Force of Will. And then I don't think that this is a great Kozilek's Command matchup. Like, yeah, you could exile their creature, but I don't think that's how you want to be fighting the matchup in general. Part of the reason you don't want to side out a Force of Will is you could, in theory, do so. Like, it's not unreasonable, but as we've seen in match 1 and 2, people are still packing Null Rods, and we need to be prepared to beat Null Rod. Oh, wow. This is a turn 1 ring backed by Force of Will. We keep these. Misty Rainforest. I wonder if I should actually play this a little slower so I don't lose to a daze. We'll play Voltaic. Pass the turn. So my fear with just jamming it all out on turn 1 is if they have Daze plus Force of Will, I get really punished. Dragon's Rage Channeler, or Consign to Memory plus Daze. Now they play a Mishra's Bauble. Surveils away Basic Island. And they use the Mishra's Bauble. Mox Opal. Okay. We'll play Grim Monolith. And it looks like this is a card that they would like to fight over. And there's the Consign to Memory. We'll let them Surveil. I would like to Force of Will your Consign to Memory. Grim Monolith resolves. We'll now untap the Grim Monolith. Make a little bit more mana. Play the One Ring, floating a colorless. It resolves. That's good to see. We'll draw a card. Play Manifold Key. Play Mox Opal. Untap the One Ring. Draw. And I'll play another key. Pass the turn. We're in a great spot now. Wasteland. They destroy my Ancient Tomb. 4 cards in their hand. They play a Murktide Regent. I still have protection from everything. The One Ring will lose life. Draw 3. Paradox Engine. Don't mind if I do. Alright, we'll use the City of Traders here. Untap the Grim Monolith. And then we'll use the mana from Grim Monolith to untap the One Ring. We'll draw 4. Use the key to untap the One Ring. We'll draw 5. Tap the Mox Opal for mana. We'll play another key. Play a Mox Opal. Alright, untap the Grim Monolith. I was originally digging for a Defense Grid before I played the Paradox Engine, but I believe that they F6'd. So instead of doing that and potentially just messing this up, I'm going to just play... Like, I believe the read was that they didn't have any interaction. So I'll float a blue. And now we'll make a bunch of mana. Untap Grim Monolith a whole lot. Alright, so that's 1 mana shy. I'll play another key then. Untaps everything. I'm aware that I could have drawn 6. It just doesn't matter. I'll draw 6 now. We'll play Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. See if my opponent concedes to this. Apparently the answer was no. So I guess I'll draw 7. Play another Grim Monolith. Untaps everything. Draw 8. We find the Aetherflux Reservoir. We'll play Reservoir. Play Defense Grid. Untap. We'll gain a bunch of life. Make some more mana. And it looks like we've beaten Izzet Delver. I just have to go through the motions at this point. Play Basalt Monolith. This will gain 11. And now Manifold Key. Our opponent says that they love our deck. Well, shoutouts to Velgrim. It was their donation deck, not mine. And now we'll just throw the Reservoir at them. Boom. Alright, we are now 2-2 with 1 match left to go. Want early access to articles at theepicstorm.com? Become a member of our Patreon to get articles 7 days early, on top of other sweet benefits, and help us pay our website team. You can sign up at patreon.com/theepicstorm. The final match. We're on the draw. We've opened up a hand that's weird. So we have Ancient Tomb and a Grim Monolith, which is great. but we don't have any blue mana. But you do have a Kozilek's Command that digs for blue mana. So once you find blue mana, you could play a stock up. But then you have two paradoxical outcomes where you have one permanent. I think that this hand is basically a mulligan to 5. So I'm going to take an actual mulligan to 6. And we've opened up an unplayable hand. We'll go to actual 5. This seems okay. We'll keep and get rid of Mox Opal and a Sink and a Stupor. Basic Island. I'll play my own. They play another basic island. Okay. Grim Monolith. Let's try stock up. I don't know what they're playing. Double basic island is giving me High Tide vibes, but I could be wrong. This was not particularly good. We'll take Sink and a Stupor and Mox Opal. Pass the turn. Impulse. I called it. It's High Tide. Oh, that's funny. All right, so we have to beat High Tide in order to finish. Oh, it's not High Tide. Is it Omnitel? Where are you playing? It's got to be Omnitel. Stock up resolves. We drew a key. I'll play the island. Let's play Grim Monolith. And now we'll play Voltaic Key. Untap the Grim Monolith. Play Mox Opal. And we'll play stock up floating 2 colorless. We find a 1 ring. Paradox Engine, I guess? Let's try to play the 1 ring. I'm not feeling super confident that this will resolve. Spell Pierce. Okay, was not expecting that one. Intuition. So this is definitely some sort of show and tell variant. Triple Force of Will. Okay, so we know that they have Force of Will backup. That's a show and tell. There's the Omniscience. And that'll do, Pig. Okay, so we're off to game number 2. We would like our Force of Negations. We don't need Kozilek's Command. You can get rid of the extra Basalt Monolith. And the key. Let's try this. Game number 2, we're on the play. This hand has no interaction and is incredibly slow. I don't think I'm allowed to keep this. This hand doesn't do anything. So you could keep bottom one of the keys and then just pray that you draw into an action spell that resolves. That's a choice. Or you can go to 5. You could also... No, you probably want double Monolith. You know what? I'm going to keep it. The people will be like, you shouldn't have kept that, you should have mulliganed. Well, that's your opinion. I just don't think that this is a deck that mulligans well going down on resources. And if our opponent is anything like our previous opponents, they're going to want to go after Grim Monolith. So having double Grim Monolith is helpful. They put 2 cards on the bottom with Preordain. Well, that was a good draw. We'll play Voltaic Key, Mox Opal, pass the turn. And now a Ponder, Basic Island. We'll play Grim Monolith. Our draws have been pretty good so far. Spell Pierce, okay. Pass the turn. And now they Brainstorm. Misty Rainforest. We'll play Otawara. Try another Grim Monolith. Force of Will, exiling Atraxa. Okay. Pass the turn. They did not fetch with the Misty Rainforest. Alright, well, they have a Brainstorm that might explain why. I was also beginning to wonder if they have a Surveil land in their deck. I mean, they should, but who knows. They fetch with the Misty Rainforest. Another basic island. Ponder. They did not shuffle with the Ponder. Sink into Stupor. I'll play it as a land. Pass the turn. So by playing it as a land, I'm able to Paradoxical Outcome. Alright, I am going to Outcome here. If I don't draw a blue card, so be it. And if it gets countered, then my Force of Negation would have been countered anyway. 3 targets, Paradoxical Outcome. And they have a Force of Will. Exiles Preordain. Show and Tell. Nothing to put in. They have Omniscience. And Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. Alright, so Velgrim, we went 2 and 3. I'm sorry it wasn't a better result. My feedback. I think that the 4th Manifold Key, the 2nd Basalt Monolith, and the 2 Kozilek's Commands are the flex spots. I liked pretty much everything else. I do wonder, and I could be wrong, if you want a more flexible win slot, like a Karn the Great Creator, and I hate saying that out loud, but It's just a thought. It doesn't play super well with Repurposing Bay because Bay can grab that Aetherflux Reservoir or, Paradox Engine or whatever. So maybe the Bay means that you have to have these in the main deck. I don't know. This was one sample size. But I drew Aetherflux Reservoir a lot this league and just wished it was a card that was better or did more. So it's just a thought. It might not be the right way forward. But you have 4 flex spots in the main deck that you can work with. Overall, I felt like the deck wasn't bad. There's something here. I do really like Repurposing Bay, but it probably needs another card somewhere in the package that isn't just the One Ring or Paradox Engine. It felt like it wanted another silver bullet that was really powerful. That's my biggest feedback that I can give you. I thought the sideboard was fine. So thank you for the donation deck to Velgrim. Thank you to everyone for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. And as always, keep storming. What you should do is like, comment, and subscribe because there's no better way to support us. And if you enjoyed this video, head over to moxfield.com and follow us there. It's truly the best deck website on the internet. We update all of our decks there regularly with the latest and greatest technology, so you're always up to date. Once again, go check out Moxfield, and thank you for watching.